Yes. Welcome back, mere mortalites, to a summary, the final summarization of the 12-week running phase. Now, thank you very much if you've been joining all the way along for this particular round of running phases. It was 12 weeks. I want to be talking about in this particular content piece for the Be Immortals in Motion around how did it go? What was the initial setup? Bring in some numbers. We're originally engineers here at the Mere Mortals, so we're going to give you some numbers, give you a bit of a details on what that is. I've got a couple of notes here to talk about the challenges and everything else in between. So I'm actually going to kick off the summarization of the 12-week running phase by going all the way back. Why did I want to do this? Why did I want to document it? Its service purpose. Look, it was about time on my feet. I wanted to be moving more. I wanted to be running more. That didn't mean essentially that I wanted to be running at a faster pace, and that could be a minutes per kilometer or minutes per mile. It actually meant, can I be more minutes out there in a running or in a movement or in motion, right? Near models in motion. Can I be more in motion? Can I do more kilometers per week? Can I make that consistent? Can I improve it over time, over the 12 weeks? And so I set myself a bit of a target. If you haven't already gone to check that out, you can go and do so. I obviously spoke about it in detail, but just in a generalization, I basically put down this plan. I wrote it out in Excel, easy, nice Excel sheets. I was using a bit of a formula that I had from many years ago when I was actually aiming for a marathon around timing. And so that was helping me out on, okay, well, how many kilometers, what's the time that I should be roughly looking at? So I'm also judging that. But it was quite plainly 4 days a week that I was attempting to go for runs. That was Mondays, which is going to be the kind of like a gentler run, let's just say. Wednesdays, which is going to be more of interval running. Fridays, speed runs, and then the weekend, Saturday or Sunday, was going to be that longer run, such much longer, maybe call it zone 2, lower heart rate, getting those bigger distances. That was the plan. Always have to begin with a plan, folks. Always have to begin with a plan. So that was the initial lift-off phase, if you will, the plan for it, and why I really wanted to go down that path over and above the fact of just getting more minutes and everything else was there was a period of time a few months and years ago where myself and my other co-hosts of the Mere Mortals, Karen, we did a big running phase in terms of doing half marathons, 3/4 marathons, full marathons. Karen did end up doing that. I did not personally. And so it was something as well that I found it's always the longer distance run, or at least what I would call the boring running. So I do enjoy really fast, speedy runs, which is something that I couldn't do, that I didn't want to do. I didn't enjoy it, I didn't like it, and so I would always turn my eye away from it. Sometimes in Model Lights, we kind of have to lean into those. And so I thought, I'm going to start this running phase and the phases of training that I'm going to be doing over the next year, tackling it first with the running. And so, of course, that's another big part of why I ended up doing that. Now, 12 weeks, it all began quite well. And I'm going to give you a high-level summary first of numbers. Let's go with the big old numbers. What did that look like? And then we'll drill down into some of the details and learnings and whatnot. That's probably going to be helpful more for most people. So overall, I'm not going to give you the numbers of what I plan to do, but let me just adjust and say it was always, I plan to do way more than what I actually did, but I'm okay with the level that I actually ended up doing. So in total, over the 12 weeks, 192.28 kilometers. Let's just go around that 192 kilometers over 12 weeks. That's pretty cool. It was an average distance. I've got the numbers here. Per run, I was running around 3.7 kilometers. It was 52 runs all up. And the best pace that was achieved out of all of those runs was a 4:09 minute per kilometer. I believe it was an average of around 16 kilometers per week over that 12-week period, which, look, I was happy with that. To you, mere mortalites out there, it depends obviously on where you are in the running phase, whether you really enjoy it, whether you don't enjoy it, whether you like the fast pace, whether you don't like the fast pace. At least personally for me, it was just a case of I probably hadn't gone over 3 kilometers, 5 kilometers before over a week in a consistent basis. This was the first time when I really did that. And look, personally, it wasn't so much the love of running, but it became towards the tail end of those weeks of appreciation for running. I definitely wouldn't say enjoying it. This is more so the appreciation of that modality of movement. If I was still comparing it to my favorite bit of training, just gym training, lifting weights, that's a really enjoyable, even with really, really sucky times of lifting. Couldn't say the same thing for running, but I did appreciate the getting out there, the almost a solitude as well sometimes. Again, I've talked about it on the podcast and sometimes here in the Mere Mortals in Motion. Running, I think over 10 minutes for me was, hey, I need to put headphones on. I need to be listening to music or a podcast. I need to be doing something else. I'm not going to get bored. Towards the tail end of those 12 weeks, I found myself doing some runs. And that was part of workouts, part of just other things where I didn't have the headphones in, and it was okay. But I also think that was largely in part of coming to the appreciation of running, of the solitude that it comes with as well, and everything in between. So that's a couple of items. Look, let's go into the adaptability that you need to have for something like a 12-week running phase, or just running phases in general. So yes, I had a plan, but I had to adjust the circumstances. You have to be adaptable to what's going to happen. For me, baby was around through that 12-week running phase. She went from 4 months to 6 months, I think, roughly around that time period with her. Got really sick. We were traveling, had an injury. So all of those things, I'm not going to call them out as, yes, they were challenges, but things in life is going to happen, right? You have to be adaptable. Putting down a plan for 12 weeks of running phase was the beginning. And that plan, unless things are going really perfectly, and if they do, well, pat yourself on the back. Well done. But often, more so than not, you're just not going to get to it exactly. And you have to be adaptable to, okay, well, at least for me, the goal, the reason was more minutes, more kilometers. How can I try and do that and get around it and be adaptable? So if that meant I'm sick, cool. Take the break, take the rest so that I can kind of get around to it a little bit later. If I can't go and train how I planned it for the Monday and the Wednesday and the Friday and the Saturday, can I do it on Tuesday? Can I do it another time? Can I break it up into double spaces? Can I do more one week and less the other week? Of course, some of those adaptable changes then can cause injuries, as I probably got down the path of, where I got sick, pulled back on some training, tried to overload it to get back to some of the kilometers I was doing, did too much, started getting a bit of a calf strain, had to pull it back. So you need to know kind of the to and fro, where you're going to be adaptable, where you're going to not. You can have the extremes of people. You can be really, really extreme around, hey, I am not going to be adaptable to this. This is my goal. I've written it down and I'm going to do it. I've sometimes swayed towards that path, maybe in some of my lifts, even if I'm going to get injured, honestly. But in running, that wasn't the case. I think I was fortunate in that I didn't care so much that at the end of 12 weeks, I got 192 kilometers, or 250 kilometers, or 300 kilometers. There wasn't that pressure, and it was just purely on the do more. I think that helped it. I was really aiming for a marathon or a sub 3-hour marathon or whatever have you, whatever more specific target. Maybe it might have become more of a priority to do them. I would have deprioritized other things, perhaps gone through the injury in a worse way, maybe made my sickness worse. So, I'm glad that it wasn't that case, but it helps me recognize, maybe recognizing for you, mere mortalites out there, being adaptable to the plan, or as much as you really care to be. Also, that depends on how important it is to do the goal. The challenges, I mean, talked about it, but dealing with that decline in running volume and then bringing it back up again. Overall, it's a piece where the gentle overloading, not hardcore overloading, and by that I mean increasing it by 5, 10, maybe 15%, seems to be, at least for me, and sounds like in the general population, probably the better way to overload and move towards higher volumes of running or more running, and then being able to pare that back after 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks might be the better way, as opposed to, hey, I'm going to go just smash it in. Direct example, I'm going to run 10 kilometers, then 20, then 40 the next week, and then 100, and then I'm just going to go as far as I can. Maybe if you're out there and you're really quite good in terms of incredible health, incredible tendon strength, incredible whatever to suppress those injuries and not be able to get to them, fantastic. Do that, go well, recover. But for me, I wouldn't have been able to do that. And that challenge for me was, I was trying to obviously document a 12-week running phase. Kind of not fun if I'm not talking about running for 3 whole weeks. And so there was a kind of a need of, hey, I want to get back into this personally for myself, also to talk about it with people. And then in the end, did too much, got a bit of strain, pulled it back. And so that was that. Some of obviously the benefits, or the things I really enjoyed from the 12-week running phase is, well, one, it's the longest running phase I've ever done, which was fantastic. 2, kind of fast forwarding it, I've now been quite a few weeks out of the running phase. And what I have seen, and I'll throw up a little bit of an image here as well if you're looking at it in the video, is it's actually remained that I've been able to do more running over time. Now, pre this, I think I was talking about it, I'd be lucky if I was doing 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers, but I'm not trying to focus on running. And even if I was, maybe just be a run or two. And I've been kind of consistently, even though I've traveled some more, even though there's been a couple of other things that I've had to deal with, I've still been keeping more running than less running. I've been leaning into it more, whether it's in a workout, whether it's I'm deciding to do a cardio piece, I might lean into doing it a little bit longer. Certainly not as much as I was getting in the peak of the running phase, which I think top week was 29 kilometers, right? It's not that level. Certainly I'm not investing as much energy into it, but it is something that I'm not dreading if it was to be done. And I'm almost in acceptance of, hey, it would be nice to be able to run every now and again at a reasonably nice click, right? Who would be, so one person, Toph Evans, had him on the podcast in an interview quite a while back, a friend of mine, and he sort of reached out. He's a way better runner than I am, for sure, and I'm a longer distance runner. And he was an individual who has been starting to get back into running lately. And he sort of called out, hey, in December, do you want to go for a little bit of a run? And look, to me, I go, hey, the previous to the 12-week run, or to at least a phase of running, I would have said genuinely, man, I'm anxious. I don't want to do that. I don't know if I could be able to make it. There'd be some hype around it, like, oh, yeah, this is going to be good. But truly, I have no idea. I have no idea how I'm going to be doing it, capable of doing it. I'm going to be tired, what pace. Now there's more confidence, aka if someone's asking me to do, hey, let's go for a weekend 21 kilometer, I know, hey, I'm probably not going to be able to do that. Really, not off the bat, not unless I'm really moving myself and putting myself into motion already for the last few weeks to get myself to that level. I can't do that. There's some people out there who can. From a training perspective of lifting weights, I could probably do that even if I was just off for a couple of weeks doing something differently, because I've just done it for a very long time. Running, though, that's not the case. However, let's put myself into a weekend run, long run, bit of a gentle pace, 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers. Yeah, I'd do that. That's not too much of something I'd be getting anxious. And before, I think I would. So that has been definitely a great thing. And it's kept me in a consistency of more minutes, more kilometers of running at my own choosing. It isn't, again, I'm not constrained by one piece that I really majorly talked about throughout the 12-week running phase, which was the little mental barriers. And comparing it to lifting weights, right? There's one massive giant barrier that you normally get through. And it's that anticipatory, just before you lift, holy shit, can I squat this? Crap, can I deadlift this? Can I bench this off my chest? Whatever other movement you're doing. I've done that, hell, I would say it more than 10,000 times, and had that mental process more than 10,000 times and gone, get over it, go through it, push through it. I can do that easy. That's just as normal as breathing. That doesn't stop my mind. It's just something that goes through it and off we go. Not so with running. I've never really dealt with the much smaller, much more consistent and progressively, how would I say it? More quickly appearing sort of mental barriers to stop what you're doing. And that is as the body approaches a higher heart rate and a warmer body temperature, as things are moving. Lactic acid is doing its play, and I think specifically it's not the lactic acid that's making things burn, but it is lactic acid is actually there to help you out. But in any case, the buildup of that pain that you feel when you're running along, all of that, I've never kind of put myself into those positions where I need to just push through that, and it's not a humongous giant pushing that you're all the way through to the other end. No, this is just that extra little push, that extra little gentle thing that's going to come again in a minute or 30 seconds that you have to mentally go, oh no, you can keep going. You can keep moving your legs. This is not the end all be all. And look, throughout the 12-week running phase, so many times did I stop, walk. This is exactly how I know that all of these little mental barriers were really a tough thing for me, is because they just stopped me from doing a lot of runs or longer distances than I really wanted to. And I tried to put them out too well. I didn't have time, or I had to get home, or I'm hungry. Bullshit. Call yourself out. I call myself out. I'm looking at the mirror, Goggin style, accountability mirror. It says, no, it was just the mental side of it. You were just quitting on it. You were just not saying continuing on. So there's parts of that I've also, really gotten some excellent gains out of. And I wouldn't have thought out of a 12-week running phase, that's a big piece that was going to come out. But there you are. That's what got it out of it. So once again, summarizing it, over 192 kilometers run, 52 runs all up. Am I happy with it? If I was to give it an out of 10, how really pleased with it am I? Honestly, 8 out of 10. I'm really happy with how it went. A lot of successes and learnings that I didn't think I was going to accomplish out of it. Even through the challenges, if I look back into it and look through the weeks, a lot of those I was able to deal with well, better than I would have done so in kind of other domains like lifting domains, just because I did try to pull back a bit with injury and sickness, and I was able to kind of get back into it to progress all the way through the 12 weeks. Yeah, it may look in part, obviously documenting it really helped, but just mentally getting all the way through it. And after week 6, week 7, I was like, okay, cool, we're rolling. I can get through this. So that phase training overall really, really helped out. I don't know if other mere mortalites out there have participated in things like that. I know lots of people do train in that way, whether you call it phases or your cycles, or it's just the way you do things. Phenomenal. After the 12-week running phase, I stopped, or at least minimized the amount of running for about a week or two, and then go back to a more gentler amount of running. So if you're going to try out, make sure that whatever cycle or phase you do, you kind of pull back a little bit and reset again, whether it is for a brand new cycle or a new cycle of running or heavier weight lifting or whatever it may be. Just make sure you give yourself some time for the body to recuperate and recover, right? Because the big piece is recovering from the adaptation to come and the recovery that's needed from the physical strenuousness that you're putting it through. So anyways, that's a summary there of the 12-week running phase, folks. Me and Monolites, thank you very much for joining, obviously all the way through here. If you've got comments, drop it wherever. You can send through a Bootstrap though. Satoshis and a comment. So it's a comment with Satoshis attached. If you send those through, we're reading them out in the Mere Mortals main podcast, which is 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time live. I'll read them through that. But otherwise, send me through some questions, queries, and whatnot. I'll be talking about the next phase, the new phase. I'll change up the way that I'm presenting, putting this together, video clipping, and whatever. Again, I'm documenting it for a bit of fun. And if out there you get any learnings or ideas or thoughts you want to ask about it, phenomenal, amazing. But me and Mortal Lights, I'm going to leave it there for now. Thank you very much. Bye now.